It looks like that ladder and some of the supports for the pool have been singed. And again, another home as well where the signs of extreme heat are showing on the siding of that home, that rippling and buckling and melting look to it. It's unclear if there were other homes damaged in the area, not just by heat, but we did receive reports that there were possibly some explosions as well when the fire department arrived. So it's unclear at this time if there was debris that was thrown about the area. Just getting back to the main accident scene itself. Again, we want to stress we don't know what caused this incident. If there were other vehicles involved, if this was just a single truck involved in an accident that ultimately led to the fire, or the other way around. But that wall, large section of that wall, has been knocked out. Again, it's unclear if that was a result of an accident with the truck striking the wall, or possibly those reported explosions. Also worth mentioning, again, we do not know what the truck was carrying, if there was anything hazardous or flammable in the back of the truck, and if anything else remains. Again, the first priority by fire department on the scene will get the fire itself knocked down, and from there they'll have to work on containing the situation, addressing any possible hazardous materials, and of course the cleanup eventually from there. But I believe we are probably several hours away from seeing that. Again, no timetable from the police or fire department in Clifton on what we can expect, but just given the fact that this fire is still burning, there appears to be substantial damage to the roadway. I believe that the eastbound side of Route 3 will probably remain closed for the next several hours. And again, we'll just take a few moments now. We'll watch the events happen. Fire department still trying to get the situation under control. And we're just noticing now, as we look around, you can see additional fire units from Bergen County. That appears to be the foam unit from Garfield. And we'll see if we can make out that's an additional truck from Garfield. So we're now seeing not only fire departments from Passaic County come in to assist in the situation, but as well as Bergen County. If you are just joining us, we have been following breaking news out of Clifton, New Jersey, an incident that happened sometime after 9 o'clock this morning. It involved a tractor trailer. There has been a fire, possible explosions. We have been receiving reports that there were injuries involved, as well as some evacuations in the area. This incident happened along the eastbound side of Route 3, just before Grove Street. in Clifton at some point just after 9 o'clock this morning. It's not known at this time whether there were other vehicles involved in this incident or if it was just the tractor trailer that was involved. There was a fire. We also received reports that there were some explosions from the truck shortly after the firefighters arrived on the scene. We are working to confirm that at this time. It's unclear what the truck may have been carrying, but for some time that fire was burning. It does appear most of the fire has been knocked down at this time, but firefighters obviously still spraying water into the scene to get everything completely knocked down. As I mentioned, there were reports of injuries. The number and extent of injuries is not known at this time. This incident happened very close to a neighborhood. That wall that separates the highway from the neighborhood, large section of it knocked down. There has been damage to 2 homes, and we have received reports that there were evacuations in the area. It's unclear how many homes were evacuated. Getting back to injuries, it's also unknown whether anybody in the homes was injured or if it was just exclusive to the truck, possibly any other vehicles that were involved in this incident. Firefighters have been staging in that neighborhood using the backyards of 2 of those homes to get the fire knocked down, as well as the highway itself. As far as traffic, Route 3 is completely shut down, essentially between the beginning of Route 3, which is right off of Route 46, and the Garden State Parkway. Traffic coming eastbound on Route 46 will be unable to continue onto Route 3. That traffic will have to stay with Route 46. It does appear that the traffic has lightened up into that area. Now there's a more clear diversion onto Route 46. The traffic has eased up, but again, anybody looking to travel to this area will be unable to access Route 3. That could cause for traffic problems as we go through the rest of the morning. Also, westbound Route 3, we can tell you that the highway has been closed down, at least at the Garden State Parkway, if not further. We have not seen any traffic approach the Grove Street exit in quite some time, and it does appear firefighters are using that exit to gain access to the roadway. A series of hoses linking appear to be from a hydrant on Grove Street along the ramp onto the highway and up to the scene, where we can see at least 1 truck here on the westbound side of Route 3 using that approach. Again, it's unclear what caused this incident, if this was all started as a result of a single truck accident or if there were issues in the truck prior to that. The cargo of the truck is unknown at this time, but we did notice shortly after we arrived some of these barrels that are on the roadway. As they were getting hit by the water spray from the hoses, they began to roll around, and as that happened, we did see flames on the roadway increase, leading us to believe that whatever was in the barrels may have been flammable, although it's unclear at this time if that was the case or if this was already pre-existing fuel and oil that was on the roadway. Again, we'll just take a few minutes now to watch the scene unfold. Again, this is Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Incident that has been going on now for over an hour, involving a tractor trailer, a fire, and the roadway completely shut down in this area. Okay. If you are just joining us, we are following breaking news out of Clifton, New Jersey. There's been an incident involving a tractor trailer. As you can see, a portion of that wall separating Route 3 from a nearby neighborhood has been knocked down. This all started sometime after 9 o'clock this morning, eastbound Route 3, just before Grove Street in Clifton. It's unclear at this time whether this was an accident, if there were other vehicles involved. We do know there was a fire, a substantial fire for quite some time, and reports of some explosions as well. Don't have much information to share at this time, but the initial reports were that the fire department had reported some explosions shortly after they arrived on the scene. It's unclear whether that was a result of possibly whatever the truck was carrying, or just simply combustible materials in the truck itself or elsewhere. Route 3 has been shut down in the area, and as you can see from some of the neighboring homes, that is Normandy Road in Clifton, New Jersey. This has caused damage to at least 2 of those homes. That one home in particular, they're going in for a closer look now. You can see the signs of extreme heat, where it looks like the siding has essentially been melted right off of the home. Taking you over to the home next door again. Not as bad, but a similar type scene that is all consistent with what we've seen in previous fires, extreme heat, where the siding essentially will melt off the home. Again, this is all a situation that began just after 9 o'clock this morning. Unclear whether this was an accident, but there was a fire. A large portion of that wall knocked down as well. It's unclear if that was a result of an accident, the truck striking the wall, or again, of those possible explosions that happened after the incident started. Firefighters have been working to get the fire itself knocked down. At this time in the last few minutes, we have not seen any visible flames. They will probably continue to spray water into the scene for quite some time. From there, they'll have to address if there is anything that is flammable, hazardous material involved in this incident. There are reports of some injuries involved. It's unclear at this time whether those injuries are just from the truck involved or any other vehicles, or possibly even the nearby homes. Again, we're waiting to get more information. As you can imagine, the Clifton Police and Fire Department has a lot of their personnel and resources at the scene of this incident. We have also seen fire departments from other towns, not just from Passaic County. We saw fire trucks from Little Falls, but we've also seen units from Bergen County. We've seen the foam truck, as well as at least one additional fire truck from Garfield responding to the scene. Many of the fire department staging in the neighborhood just beyond this. Again, that is Normandy Road in Clifton, but also along Grove Street. We've seen many firefighters there, as well as the highway itself. There are numerous fire trucks staging along the highway. There you can see on the westbound side of Route 3, that one truck, there are a series of hoses that are connecting this truck to a hydrant on Grove Street. And then in the opposite direction, earlier we saw some trucks from Route 3 in the other direction spraying water into the scene. They did stop shortly after we arrived. It appeared that the firefighters in some of those backyards were getting a much better angle on the fire scene. And again, taking a look at some of the emergency vehicles that have responded. Again, numerous fire trucks as well as fire department personnel responding to the situation along Route 3. This time we don't have a timetable on when they expect to get this situation open for traffic. I believe at the very least we will see the eastbound side of Route 3 closed for several hours, as there is an extensive cleanup once the fire department gets the situation under control. And as you can see, still spraying water into the scene, so they will be probably doing this for quite some time. Now, as far as the traffic impact, earlier we did see substantial delays in the area. There is a more, I guess, smooth transition now for traffic coming off of eastbound Route 46 into the Route 3 area. Since Route 3 begins off of Route 46, the police department has set up a smoother transition. So we have seen the delays going eastbound subside. All that traffic will have to remain with Route 46 to get around the accident scene. As far as the westbound side of Route 3, we have not seen any vehicles come anywhere close to the Grove Street exit in quite some time. So that would indicate to us that the traffic has been diverted off, at the very least at the Garden State Parkway, if not sooner. Unfortunately, we were unable to see that at this time, as that's close to a mile away from the scene, about 3/4 of a mile to a mile away. But again, it goes without saying that traffic not being able to get anywhere close to this. We have also seen local roads shut down, not only on Normandy Road, which is that neighborhood immediately behind the incident scene, but Grove Street itself, we've seen fire trucks staging along Grove Street. Some of the other neighboring roads that have not been shut down, but we have seen emergency vehicles on Robin Hood Road, as well as Valley Road. So anybody traveling in that area, you can expect to see possible closures, diversions later on. And again, now we'll go back in for another look. At the scene, and again, it does appear most of the flames have been knocked down. But we anticipate that the firefighters will continue to spray water into the scene just to make sure that everything has been completely extinguished. If you're just joining us, we have been following breaking news out of Clifton, New Jersey. There has been an incident along Route 3, the eastbound side of Route 3. It happened sometime after 9 o'clock this morning. It involved a tractor trailer. There was a fire. There were some initial reports of a possible explosion or explosions by the fire department after they arrived on the scene. What we can see at this time is that a large section of that wall that separates Route 3 from the nearby neighborhood, and those homes that you're seeing in the background, those homes are along Normandy Road in Clifton. A large section of that wall has been knocked down. It's unclear at this time if that is a result of the truck or other vehicles impacting it, or again, a possible result of those reported explosions. It's unclear at this time if there were other vehicles involved in this incident, what may have caused the fire in the aftermath, if that's something that happened before or after. It does appear the bulk of the fire has been knocked down, and it has been several minutes now since we have seen any flames coming from the wreckage of that truck. There are also some reports of injuries as well. Again, the number and extent are unknown at this time, and also reports of evacuations, especially in the early minutes of this incident in that neighborhood. The number, again, not known at this time. We can see there were at least 2 homes that were damaged by the incident. Very consistent with what we've seen in situations with fire and extreme heat. damage to the siding of that home as well as the one just to the left of it. The traffic impact in the area, we can tell you that there is no access onto Route 3 coming off of Route 46, so traffic going eastbound on Route 46 will have to continue onto Route 46 to get around this area. Since there is a relatively smooth detour now transition, we are not seeing any problems with traffic coming off of Route 46. That is Grove Street that you just saw going through your picture. We're going to try to get a look quickly out towards the area of the Garden State Parkway and Broad Street, and it does appear Broad Street, that area, that exit is where traffic being taken off. Many vehicles also opting for the Garden State Parkway as well. And again, coming back to the accident scene, we've been watching as firefighters have been staging along the neighborhood behind the incident, along the highway, and there along Grove Street. We can see some of the fire trucks that are waiting to assist. Units from Garfield and nearby Bergen County. We've seen units from Little Falls. We would almost expect that there would be other towns assisting. We've been unable to look at every single fire truck in this area, but again, we've seen multiple towns responding to the scene to assist in getting the situation under control. At the very least, we would expect that the eastbound side of Route 3 will probably be closed down for several hours. Again, all of the fire department efforts now being focused on getting the situation under control. So being able to get a timetable on possibly reopening the roadway will take some time, of course, with their priorities being get the situation under control. It's unknown what the truck may have been carrying. We did see some of these barrels that you may be able to notice on the roadway earlier. Some of those barrels were rolling around, and as they did, there appeared to be liquid coming out of them that was igniting into flames. Again, it's unclear what may have been in those barrels or containers. It is also possible that there may have been other flammable materials, such as oil, already on the roadway. It was just a coincidence that we were seeing as the barrels were rolling around. But again, it does appear most of the fire has been knocked down. And I'll just watch now as the firefighters in Clifton, New Jersey, with the assistance of some other towns, again, try to get the situation under control. If you are joining us now, we have been following breaking news out of Clifton, New Jersey, an incident involving a tractor trailer. There has been a fire. A portion of the wall that separates the highway from some nearby neighborhoods has been knocked down. There's been damage to some neighboring homes and reports of injuries and possible explosions in this incident. Let's all start with when this began, sometime after 9 o'clock this morning. This is along the eastbound side of Route 3, just before Grove Street in Clifton. What we know is that there was at least a tractor trailer involved in this incident. It's unclear if there were any other vehicles involved. What may have caused this incident is also unknown. When we arrived on the scene, there was a fire, much of that wreckage burning, smoke going up into the air. And as you can see, that wall has been knocked down. There were some initial reports that firefighters were noticing what appeared to be explosions coming from the truck. Shortly after they arrived, we've been unable to confirm that at this time, but we can tell you that wall has been knocked down. Whether that was knocked down or as a result of the truck or another vehicle striking it, or again as a result of possible explosions, it's not known at this time. Just beyond that, you can notice damage to that home. There is a second home that was damaged as well. This is along Normandy Road in Clifton. That damage is consistent with what we've seen in the past with fires and extreme heat. Essentially, it looks like the siding of the home has melted right off. There are reports of injuries. It's not known at this time how many or the extent of those injuries, and we'll work to find out more details on that, whether any injuries were just to anybody that was involved in the vehicles or possibly the homes. We could take you quickly around that neighborhood. Again, this is the area around Normandy Drive, but some of the other streets in the area, such as Robin Hood Drive, we did see emergency vehicles staging along, as well as Grove Street and Valley Road, emergency vehicles along those roads as well. There are fire trucks on the highway, as you can see on the westbound side of Route 3. This truck spraying water into the scene. There are a series of hoses connecting that truck to a hydrant along Grove Street. And going in the other direction, there are several fire trucks as well. Earlier, these trucks were spraying water into the scene. It does appear that they've stopped for now. There are also firefighters, as you may have noticed in our picture a moment ago. Firefighters have been spraying water into the scene from the backyards of those homes pretty much since we arrived on the scene. They were already in the backyard spraying water into that truck. Again, still working to find out more information as to what caused this incident, what the truck may have been carrying. We noticed shortly after we arrived, there were these objects that appear to be barrels. We can see at least 4 of them on the roadway, and when the firefighters were spraying them with water, they began to roll around, and the flames actually got worse. There was liquid on the roadway, something flammable on the roadway, and as those barrels began to roll around, it did appear that the flames were enhanced. So we don't know at this time whether there was something flammable or hazardous in those containers, or if it was just simply a coincidence and there were already flammable materials such as oil from the truck on the roadway, and that is what caused those flames to ignite. But again, that was all after the initial fire happened. That was sometime after we arrived on the scene, and the truck itself had already been engulfed in flames. Just to go over the traffic impact, Route 3 is essentially closed between the Broad Street Garden State Parkway area and Route 46. If you're traveling eastbound on Route 46, since Route 3 begins off of Route 46, all the traffic will just be diverted to continue onto Route 46, so there's no access to Route 3. And what we've noticed is that there's a relatively smooth transition to continue on Route 46, so we have not seen any delays in some time. Initially there were in the initial aftermath of this incident, but now the eastbound side, it does appear that the traffic has eased out. On the westbound side, traffic now being diverted off at that Broad Street Garden State Parkway area, traffic not being allowed to continue past that point. As we've been watching Grove Street nearby. Fire trucks have been staging there as well. We've seen fire trucks from Garfield. The foam unit from Garfield has arrived on the scene, as well as an additional truck from Garfield. We have counted fire trucks from at least 3 towns assisting. There are possibly more. We have not been able to read the lettering on every single truck, but we do know there are at least 3 towns that have been fighting this fire. Numerous street closures as well. That would be anticipated just to allow smoother access for emergency vehicles to get into the scene. Grove Street and Valley Road in particular. Grove Street is closed off at Route 3. Valley Road does appear to remain open at this time. So far it has not been closed off. And again, just going back, another look at the damage to the homes just beyond the scene of this incident. And firefighter staging in this neighborhood as well. Once again, just to recap what we've been following out of Clifton, New Jersey. There has been an incident involving a tractor trailer. There has been a fire, damage to homes. This all started just after 9 o'clock this morning along the eastbound side of Route 3, approaching Grove Street in Clifton. It's unclear at this time whether the tractor trailer was the only vehicle involved or if there were other vehicles. It does appear that the truck was right up against the wall that separates it from the nearby neighborhood. There was a fire and some reports of possible explosions shortly after the firefighters arrived on the scene. We are waiting to get more information from the fire department. As you can imagine, they have been concentrating their efforts on just getting the situation under control. Earlier, much of that wreckage was on fire when we first arrived on the scene. That main wreckage area was on fire, as well as this additional area object. It's unclear whether that is a part of the truck, something the truck was carrying, or if that was a item that already existed on the roadway prior to the incident. That was on fire. It took some time for that to get knocked down, but firefighters do appear to have the bulk of the flames knocked down, if completely out at this time. It's unclear what that truck was carrying. If there was anything flammable or hazardous in the truck, that is something the fire department will have to deal with once they deem the situation under control. As we mentioned, damage to nearby homes. Appears the siding pretty much is melted right off of that home, as well as damage to the one adjacent to it. That is consistent with what we've seen in fires with extreme heat in the past. There were reports, again, as I mentioned, of some possible explosions. It's unclear if there has been debris thrown into the area, into the neighborhood. We're not seeing any clear signs of it at this time, but that is something the fire department will have to confirm to us once they get the situation under control. And again, just to recap, the traffic impact in this area, Route 3 essentially closed down between where it begins off of Route 46 and the Broad Street Garden State Parkway area. The eastbound side of Route 46, we're seeing a relatively smooth transition come off of Route 46 and continue onto Route 46. So right now we're not seeing any major delays traveling eastbound, but of course westbound there are delays on Route 3 getting into that Broad Street Garden State Parkway area, as that is where all of the traffic is being forced to divert off the roadway, and simply no smooth transition there, much as the opposite direction. We will have more on this developing story out of Clifton, New Jersey on CBS 2 News at noon. For now, this is Jim Smith in Chopper 2. Thank you for joining us here on CBS New York.
This has been breaking news. And welcome to CBS News New York. I'm Chris Raggi.
I'm Mary Calvi. It's a quiet, muggy morning with temperatures in the 70s. But after our start to the summer, I guess it's a welcome relief.